Welcome to What's in the Actual Mental Health. Yee. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So we have a return offender. Great to see you.
Return offender.
Yeah, that's why you're wearing the prison outfit.
Oh, yeah. I look good.
You do look good.
My husband said
That's
I
what
was like
prison
a
guards
sexy
say, too.
Beetlejuice. Such a dick. I'm a referee.
Goal.
Basket!
sports.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Well, we're bringing Arian back.
Hey!
It's been a long
We
time.
got referee Cat.
I think it's been like a year.
Over.
Over a year.
Yeah, because it was like in March of last year.
Yeah. It was a long time ago. We were just wee babes.
We little.
And look at
And
us.
now we're on video.
And now we're
Yeah.
on video.
Look at you guys.
Look how much progress we've made. One fucking step.
Yay!
I mean, it is a step, so good for us.
So many steps. I have little feet.
You do have little feet.
So it's a big
Little
step for me.
Fucking Frodo feet. Okay,
Wow.
so
It's real. That's real.
I have the best feet ever.
yeah, I told her we can make so much money on Feet Finder.
We're going to.
Literally.
Yeah, Frodo Feet Finders. We make
Listen, we
bank.
can all put our weird feet in together.
My feet aren't weird.
They're just really dry all the time because I don't get
Also
any
not
moisture.
cute. That's not cute.
Some people like a little up against their flesh at night. Under the the sandpaper feeling under the sheets.
Yeah. You can like hear it. It's like.
Yeah, it's all.
Like,
And I'm like, I love you. Yeah, you're welcome. All right, that'll be $9.99. Anyways, what are we talking about today, referee?
referee.
Referee.
We are going to talk about healing your inner child.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah.
That's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
Here we
Healing
go.
your inner child. Well, here we fucking go.
Yeah. Well, the first
I'm
thing
nervous.
it asks us to do
Oh, God.
is define our inner child.
Oh, she's the worst.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let one of you guys go first.
I meant as a therapist, Rebecca, could you fucking explain
What inner child
what your
means?
inner child is? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because also I just called it an anal
Yeah,
child.
yeah. You almost went to the other side.
Not anal child.
Yeah, that. Well, now that's $10.99, everybody.
The inner child.
And now Tim Tebow is definitely fucking checking into your shit.
Yeah,
so
that's
good
fine.
job. Good job.
It's your podcast.
316 John. So yeah. Anyways.
Well,
So,
there
when as a therapist we ask people to work on their inner child, we mean you as a kid and the pieces of you that probably have some trauma and some unhealed things going on, right? Because when you think about when we are little, we have such little autonomy over everything, right? Where you go, what you wear, who can be kind to you, who can be mean to you. And, even like, it's not, I think it's a little bit more accepted now that people aren't like, oh, go give so-and-so a hug and just like shoving your child into creepy, Uncle Johnny Pants. And
Johnny Pants.
yeah. And when that wasn't something that that opportunity you were given as a child to say like, oh, that makes me uncomfortable. That can cause trauma amongst, myriad of other things. But when you don't heal yourself as a child, where does that go? It comes with you as you get older. So and you will probably notice it even more when you have children yourself, is that inner little you is triggered by your child because it is a mirror of your little self. So when your kiddo does something and you're like, oh, that makes me really uncomfortable, that's something that's an opportunity to look at and be like, why is that something that bothers me? Outside of it, is it unsafe or whatever? Or is it something, that as a child I wasn't allowed to do? For a lot of people, if their kid like backtalks them or sasses them, they get very like triggered because as a child, if you would have done that, you would have been abused or you would have been hit. So that when your kid does it, it's not just that it makes you angry and it's inappropriate. It's that it scares you because your inner child's like, oh, we're going to get hurt. Something bad is about to happen. So when we don't heal those inner little baby wounds, then we grow up with a lot of problems. And the thing is that as we're going along in life and learning more about mental health and the health of children, especially for the longest time, people were like, oh, you won't remember any of this because you're little. But there's lots of studies that show from about 4 on, you'll remember pretty much everything in bits and pieces. And depending on how traumatic it is and how much your mind wants to protect you, you will probably always remember like snippets. So you got to heal. Got to heal that little kid. And sometimes that just means giving that kid somebody to say, this isn't okay, and I'm sorry this happened to you. Because sometimes that's all you really needed when you were little. So.
Oh, boy.
I'm listening to her and I'm like,
I'm all,
She's like, so I have to go now. I hope this hour is over.
bye.
bring the whole whole thing closer to you.
She wants it right
Way
in
up
your
in
face.
Yep.
There
Is
you
that
go.
better?
Good
Much
girl.
better. Yeah, you'll learn.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello? Can you hear me?
on?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oof.
So yeah, so get ready because it's going to be real sticky.
Oh, it's
My
gross.
stomach already hurts.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm real excited about
Yeah.
It says that we need to clarify this is not about blaming parents.
Oh, maybe.
It's
Just kidding.
I definitely blame my father.
It's about acknowledging what was missing or misinterpreted and giving yourself what you didn't receive.
No, I definitely think, the more you blame anybody, whether it's your parents or whoever, when you do that, you do put yourself in the state of always being a victim, right? And so it is okay to say what somebody did was not okay. I didn't like it. I didn't appreciate it. I don't approve of it. But if you, especially with parents, if you think about what people knew in the 80s and 70s and 60s about children.
60s is when you were born.
No, when you were born in the 50s. Yeah, fucking with your poodle skirt.
I looked really cute. In a poodle
Bebopping
skirt.
and shit with your little fucking referee.
I looked really cute.
Did you
in
have a little
poodle
whistle?
skirt.
But no, if you think about too, it's again like when we talk about saying, my parents probably did the best that they could with what they had. And even though that may not have been enough to what you know now and what you can produce now for your children, when you blame and when you say, well, it's their fault, they did this, they did that, you're constantly just saying, I'm the victim and I deserve to stay in victimhood, which will never get you to a place of healing, which is why forgiveness is so hard. That's why it takes so much and why it's like a constant battle that you probably will have to fight. I know. And it's rough and it's not super enjoyable. And it's okay to say, right? Like there's lots of things that both of my parents did that I'm like, I won't do that with my son. Absolutely not. So if for nothing other than that is a lesson I learned, then I'm grateful for that. Even when it takes every ounce of my fucking soul to be grateful for those things. And all the copays in the world. So yeah. But I mean, it's hard.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, you can blame.
She said, all right.
She's like, all right.
All right, are we done yet?
No, we are
Not even
5
close.
minutes in.
I'm already sweating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So,
Air it out.
All right.
air it out, but like not too much. Come on, like, air it
Closed
out on
in
me.
here.
Yeah, we're all in the same spot. We're all breathing the same air.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, here
You're
we
welcome.
go.
Dang.
All right, well, go ahead.
What is it you were saying? You were saying though, like that, like you would blame your dad.
Oh, I have daddy issues. Left, right, up and down for many different reasons, but I will say I was not like physically harmed in ways that others have gone through. So let me preface that. But mentally, my dad was the guy who he wasn't around unless he was with my mom. It was always my relationship with him always was dependent on the relationship that he had with my mother at that time. So like if they were happy, we were all okay.
Gotcha.
If they weren't happy, I didn't exist in his life. So it was very in and out, back and forth, all over the place. Yeah,
What was his relationship like with his parents?
I don't know. So sorry to put my mom out here a little bit like this, but
We all do it.
so when my mom got pregnant with me, my father was married to someone else. And so, but my father was quite a bit older than my mom. So I never met my grandparents and he never really talked. I don't know if I really even knew my dad on that kind of a level.
Yeah.
Probably at all.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I only remember good times. Like I said, he was I guess what I would call like the Disneyland dad now. I think like was probably what we would refer to him as.
Yeah.
Like he would take us on vacations and he would do the fun things.
Right.
And then.
It was fun till it wasn't fun anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's cool.
I was like, it's
he's great.
maybe not.
How would you say that relationship has translated to other relationships?
You can
Well,
go. You
where
can
do
go now.
Where do you see that? You can leave now. Where do you see that?
He's like, I'm so uncomfortable.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I hate it here.
Yeah, you
Why
wanted
did
to
I
be here.
volunteer to
You
do
wanted
this?
to do this.
I
We're gonna
volunteered
get
for this
deep.
shit.
You even showed up early.
Yeah, yeah,
The one time.
yeah.
That'll teach you.
Yeah, that's what you get.
Now you know you're in danger.
Well, I mean, the one thing that I would say is it definitely did teach me how I wanted to be loved, and how to not treat other people, I guess is one way of saying it. In regards to relationships,
Not just romantic, but
no, just like in general, I think that I hold on to relationships like a lot. Like in regards to, like, especially like my friendships, like I fucking hold on to those suckers, and Kat can be the one to tell you that. Like I make sure, and I always like I tell people that I love them. I think like things like that is very important, because that's definitely one thing I didn't get from him.
Yeah.
My mom, complete opposite. That woman, she's everybody's biggest cheerleader. But him, on the other hand, I mean, like, love was very conditional. So I think that I try very hard to not have that ever be the case.
Have you been in relationships where the love was conditional?
Yes.
I want to go home.
I fucking hate it here.
I know. It's like,
This is going to be a lot of ASMR in this.
yeah,
one, just so
yeah.
you
There
guys-
is. There's gonna be a lot. Yeah. I'm gonna hear the sweat dripping.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. I would say my relationship with my with my son's dad was very conditional for many different ways, but he reminds me a lot of my father in the my dad was a narcissistic cool man. I'm the coolest there is. Nobody can tell me what to do kind of thing. And my son's father, at least with me and our relationship, I don't know how he is now, but was very similar to that. And I mean, like, if he wasn't interested in a topic that I wanted to talk about, we didn't get to talk about it because I was an idiot because I wanted to talk about it, kind of thing. Like, you know, it's very much like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, and then I really wasn't in a relationship until the current one I'm in now. So that was what, like 15 years later, because I was like, screw conditions, I'm just not going to do anything.
Well, you were in like
I mean, I was, but nothing like
fleeting relationships.
yes. I mean, like there was definitely things that happened in between, but like nothing that was like concrete. Like, yes, did they have a effect in one way, shape, or form? Sure, but like nothing that hurt as much as others. It's a good way of putting that, I think.
And like friendships, did you hold on to that relationship longer than you should have?
Yeah. She-
And I was like, by Kat's face, I'm gonna assume this is
yes,
yeah.
and then I was like,
I know you were like,
Yeah, I'm all-
what are you gonna do?
oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I definitely probably still have friendships that
should die.
should die.
well,
God, Rebecca. She's like, bury them.
well
Like,
there it is, ladies and
Get a
gentlemen.
shovel, motherfuckers.
Here we go. Yeah, this is good. Yeah, we're
Yeah,
11
for
minutes
sure.
in.
I would say that I've held on to way too many relationships, friendships even, especially friendships, probably more than anything, that I just could have released many, many moons ago and I would have been all right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's hard though when you learn that you're little. You know, when you're little and you're like, the base of what makes you safe, right, is supposed to be your parents. And so you model relationships based off what your parents do. So if you're like, okay, you put up with a bunch of bullshit even though you're not super happy, I'm assuming that's what I'm supposed to do. And I just hang on to it. And because sometimes it's good, but not always, that's very typical of like narcissistic relationships, right? It's very hot and cold. You never really know where you're going to land. So if that's what you're shown when you're little, it makes sense that you would copy and paste it when you get older,
Oh, yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I don't, I mean, like, you're position on that might be very different because you had two very loving parents that loved each other.
I did, yeah. They
But-
were also drug addicts.
Well, yeah, so you have your own version of.
Yeah, it's like,
yeah, no, it's so
like,
Rebecca
on
and I
that
talk
end,
about that
it's-
too because
yeah.
my you finish.
No, it's your turn. I need it off of me for a minute.
she's like, I gotta air the fuck out.
The air came on.
Yeah, the air came on for you.
Thank you. Good
Yeah,
Lord.
Rebecca and I have talked about this before where it's like I never like felt unloved or unseen or like even though like from a sober parental standpoint, I was very like neglected and malnourished and all that. I never felt that. So like I don't necessarily know that like trauma like shows itself as much
In
as
the
like
same way, like
yeah, it doesn't like I don't know. There's
Yeah,
definitely
this is so fun
childhood
and
trauma
not
in there.
uncomfortable at all.
But it's weird because I have a hard time like pinpointing it, like with a lot of other things, like with my relationships or like abusive relationships, neglectful relationships, whatever.
You don't think your hyper independence comes from maybe that early parentification?
Well, yes, but I'm saying in a relationship, like where I'm like, oh, I'm seeking what I didn't get from my parents, you know, like I don't necessarily see that translates as much as like, I got this, I can take care of it. Like I feel the need to fix people, but like, I'm not necessarily seeking something I didn't get. It's more like in a loving way. Does that make sense? Like, oh, my parents didn't love me or they didn't
Sure. Yeah, you
adore
felt
me
loved.
or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
I felt very seen.
Right.
But I think that also translates into like my love language where like in previous relationships I didn't feel seen and it led me to want like more than like the mediocre because like I have been married multiple times and I have settled each time for whatever reason. And then it kind of like rears its ugly head when I'm like, nope, this is what I want. I want to be seen. I want to be loved. I want to be adored. The way that like I watched my dad do to my mom and like my dad was with me, very like number one cheerleader, all that. So like when that didn't start to translate, it was like, no, this is what I want. And I just kept thinking like, okay, I'm going to get it this time. And then, oh, I'm going to get it this time. But there's a pattern of like, this is what I want, but I always settled for something else.
Do you think that it like caused kind of
Yes.
because you know like so like typically in relationships like when you put somebody on a pedestal, right, that can be very dangerous because that doesn't always allow for them to have really inhuman pieces to them, right? And so as a kid, like watching that, do you think that kind of gave you like a Disney perspective of what relationships should look like, where I'm the princess and this is the way it's going to be, and very quickly I'm going to find this person and we're going to be together and all the things are going to be magical, and then when it's not, you're like, fuck.
Yeah, maybe. I don't.
Arian's
I
face.
mean, do they do drugs in Disney?
Yes, bitch. They fucking do. Are you serious?
I'm like-
There was penises in The Little Mermaid.
Yeah, it was.
They,
fair.
yeah, and who
Sex-
draws cartoons like
it's
that?
Sex and the Little Lion.
It's
And the
funny.
Lion.
Yeah, they were on
Lion
drugs.
King.
In the Little Lion.
And the Little Lion. I couldn't think of
Sex
the
and the
All
Little
right,
Lion.
Little Lion.
The Little Lion and Mermaid. It's all there.
That lion.
that lion. Ooh, phew, thanks for clearing that up.
Everybody knows now what I'm talking about.
I they didn't before.
It's funny because I've always told my parents like that I feel like they set an unrealistic expectation of what love looked like because although it was like, yeah, I want that, I just kind of like never found it. I like never until now, like even the people that I ended up marrying, I still didn't feel that.
Right.
Like it, you know, but I just was like, oh, I guess this is just like how it should be. So I settled. And I'm not like totally sure where like the settling comes from. Maybe I just felt like unworthy, like I did something wrong. Like, I don't know. But like now it's totally like I'm a completely fucking different person than I was 3 years ago or 10 years ago.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Goddamn.
I mean, you have seen my crazy hair. I'm crazy bitch. But I definitely.
She's off the rails.
Yeah.
For sure.
Just crazy and just fucking wild. But I definitely feel like I don't know. There's some reason that I continued to settle. It was like almost knowing that like yeah maybe we'll get like 80% there, and that would be fine. I don't know, but like it's just kind of like coming to now that like I thought like, okay, yeah, that's fine. And maybe I just was like, I should stop being greedy and just settle. And then there's just like a point where I just couldn't settle anymore.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what happened in my last marriage. I mean, we were together for like a decade. And then my previous marriage, he was very abusive and he beat the shit out of me. And he was, you know, there were a bunch of red flags
She had
going
some
into that
winners.
one. Yeah. There was a bunch of red flags there. But like, I don't feel like there were as many in the, like with my kid's dad until we were like, well, fucking in it. And then they were like little like orange flags almost.
Yeah.
And then at some point I just was like, I'm not going to settle anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't really know where the little inner child comes in there.
Well, and sometimes too, right? Like this is where trauma gets confusing because people think trauma is what you got too much of, but it can also be what you didn't get enough of. So if you didn't get enough love, if you didn't get enough affection when you were hurt, if you didn't get enough time to be a child, right? And you were instantly thrown into having to grow the fuck up, right? So that does leave a wound open, right? And whatever, and you have to, you know, you think about us as like humans, if we were like a bucket, right? And all the traumas that we've had, whether we didn't get enough of something or we got too much of something, has left like a dent that eventually becomes a hole. You will find a way to fill that, right? Whether it's with relationships, gambling, sex, food, alcohol, drugs, whatever that is, right? So if you're looking at it from a point of like, I know what a happy marriage looks like, but there was a lot of dysfunction in their relationship because they were drug addicts, right? I mean, there's no two ways about that. That has to be dysfunctional.
Yeah.
And bringing a child into that too, right? And so if there's a subconscious part of you that knows, yeah, they clearly loved each other, but they also allowed for a lot of dysfunction, so should I.
Oh. Yeah.
Yuck.
You can leave your copay.
It's like, do you have my new insurance card?
I'll take it in blood. Blood and tears.
All right, well, now we've unpacked our shit. You got, what do you got?
It's your turn.
Yeah, I mean, my
your
shit's
inner
all
child?
fucked up. We all know my shit's all fucked up.
Well, yeah. Yes.
No, you know what I think is so interesting is that, because it's been, like 4 months now that my dad has randomly resurfaced, which has been interesting in and of itself because I haven't talked to him. So last time I talked to him was when I got home from the hospital, from dying. I got home and he had called and we hadn't talked for years before that even. And then a couple of days after talking to him on the phone, and sadly, like the inner child in me had always wanted a relationship with him. I mean, that's what it is, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember, like, I can vividly remember, like, because I was, homebound for months after I got home from the hospital because I had to learn how to rewalk, and I was like fucking emaciated. It was real gross. And I remember like being in my bedroom and he called and we had this conversation and we talked about all kinds of stuff. And I was like, this is gonna be great. And then 2 days later, him and my sister were at the zoo because they live in Farmington. And I was like, wow, cool. So you're at the zoo in Albuquerque and didn't say a fucking thing and didn't come see me, didn't give a shit. So I died, came back, and 2 days later, you're in the Albuquerque Zoo. And so I quit talking to that whole side of my family for the last 7-8 years. And then a couple months ago, my watch rang because my phone was in the other room and it had my dad's name on there. And I was like, the fuck? And then he just hung up. Didn't leave a message, nothing. And I texted back and I was like, I got a missed call, nothing. So then I reached out to his mom and I'm like, is he dead? Are you guys dying? Like, what the fuck? Like, I thought it was my sister, my half sister. And because I couldn't find her on Facebook or anything. So I thought, well, maybe, something bad had to have happened. No. And everybody's fucking alive. So there's that. But he finally reached back out. And basically, I think what happened, he did get in a car accident. And I think he's been in many car accidents. My dad is he's perpetual to fucking live in a ditch with his fucking car. Like he flips his cars constantly. The amount of times is ridiculous. And I think he had a near death fucking probably experience and thought he would reach out and has continued to. I've talked to him twice now. And here's what's, weird is that he picks up the conversation like we talked 2 weeks ago. Like, hey, how's it going? And it's more annoying than it is anything else. I'm not going to lie. There's a point where we're going to get where I'm going to be like, what are we doing? What is this? What's the point? Because I'm fine. I healed this along with lots of fucking therapy. I healed your bullshit years ago. So yeah, I don't know. It's just weird and it's kind of more frustrating than it is fucking enjoyable. But I mean, he dipped out. My parents got divorced when I was 4 and he had my half sister when I was 8 and I didn't even know until she was born that I was going to be a sister. He just called one day and was like, hey, you've got a sister. He's been married, I think 7 fucking times. One of them was murdered. She was my favorite. She liked to bake
Figures.
cookies. Yeah, she was a Coke addict, so she liked to bake cookies a
Hey.
lot. So yeah, she was my favorite. Here's to Bonnie. So yeah,
Bonnie.
yeah. But hey, how you doing? She's like making cookies. Yeah, she was the best. But no, I mean, so I spent a lot of time, you know, and like I said, I have a grandfather who very much like raised me and was amazing. And it's not that it's just, it never changes the fact though that when you don't have a parent, whoever takes that place, it's great and all, but that parent is still not there for you, right? And so that little you is always just kind of like waiting. And there was a time where he left me at the mall in Las Cruces waiting, I think I made my mom wait for like 6.5 hours in the parking lot, sure that he was going to show up. And he never did. And then he called and was like, oh, I got scared driving in traffic from Farmington through Albuquerque. So, you know, like you have to heal that shit because that doesn't, you know, that doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Which is where, you know, for a long time, I've had a lot of anxious attachment, right? So like when I fight with somebody or I get upset with somebody, I instantly assume that's it. They're going to leave. They're never going to come back.
I heard a story about that today.
Did you? Did you?
About you.
About me?
Yeah, I was like, we should talk about rejection.
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought,
Yeah, where I'm like octopus. I'm like, you know? But I'm like, I don't really know that this is a good idea, but it's better than not, you know?
This is where we are.
Yeah. I'm just like, let me get on there. And it has taken, you know, a lot of therapy and a very healthy relationship for, because it would drive my husband nuts. He would be like, what the fuck are you, you know, he'd be like trying to like pull me off of his leg. And I'm like, please love me.
All your little tentacles.
Yeah, I'm up. Yeah. So yeah, so it definitely took a long time, and it's still. I mean, there's still times where, you know, I'll be sure. I'm like, did he breathe 3 times instead of 4? He's definitely leaving me, you know. So I think it definitely fucks with that, and it's funny though because like growing up, people are like, oh, you know. Were you like very promiscuous? Did you? I didn't. And I didn't hate men either. And my husband had asked me that one time. He's like, were you a man hater? And I really didn't. I've had a lot of men who've done some pretty horrible things. So I should, but it was never like that. It was just, I don't know. It was always like this hope that, you know, like he'll show up and he'll get his shit together. And I can think of like countless times I wrote letters. And then when my mom got remarried, I had a really bad falling out with my stepdad, who I called dad for years. And so that was another like fucking kick to the gooch. So
To the gooch.
to the gooch.
Not the gooch, but the gooch. Got it.
Exactly.
All right. Noted.
So yeah, so it definitely, and it of course it translated into relationships. I was very quick to end relationships a lot of times. It's so funny because I kind of went through this really long phase where the minute somebody would like just breathe wrong, I'm like, you're dead to me. We can never fucking talk again. We're done. And then I went through a phase where I was like, you could be the worst person ever and I'll stick around for life. Yeah. So it was like this weird pendulum of like, fuck off, never leave me. And like nothing in the middle. You know?
We don't do middle ground.
We don't
here.
do middle. We're just like, no, yay. And so, yeah. And then I met my husband and he was like, I need you to chill the fuck right out, you know? And so, and that took a while too, because that took a long time for me to trust that like when he was being very like, knock it the fuck off, that it wasn't a place of like control or unkindness. It was actually very much trying to protect me. But because I had never had that before, I was like, what is this? You're trying to control all my things. And he's like, I'm really not, motherfucker. You're just insane.
It's like, you are fucking nuts.
Yeah. He's like, oh, you little fucking octopi.
The men in our lives are so lucky.
And they really are. Yeah, they really are winning the fucking award of the year.
At least to put up with our asses.
Yeah, I'm like, whoo, you get the lottery. It's me.
He's like, oh, I need to return it.
Yeah, he's like, I don't
I
have
would
the
like to
receipt.
return the lottery. How do I return
Yeah,
this
how do I
one?
get this back to the pound?
Where do we put the
Octopus needs to go
leftover?
back
Yeah,
to the
this
ocean.
fucking SeaWorld. You got one. You got one, Nemo. Just fucking floating around loose. Yeah. So I could definitely, but I did a lot. I've done a lot of therapy about it. And then it's funny, because I did a ton of therapy about my dad and kind of, because typically you see this a lot in therapy is that when people are working on the shit with their parents, they will pick one parent to focus their frustration, their anger, and all their things on, not both. Because it is like genetically, DNA and, all the things. It's really genetically. Yeah, genetically.
Genetically. Did you almost heard that, right?
Yeah.
She almost
That's
said
why I'm
that.
combining them.
Yeah, genetically.
Because it's, for you to dislike both of your parents or to think that both of your parents fucked the pooch goes against the grain. It goes against the grain for one parent, but to say that both of them were not good like it almost kills people. It's really, really hard for people to admit that both parents may be at fault. So you will find that typically when people come to therapy, they work on a parent. And then once that one's healed, there's like this moment where they're like, ah, fuck. Oh, fuck. The other one's real gross too. Oh, God damn it. And then they have to like start all over with a whole different parent. Yeah, they are. They're like, I'm good. And then they're like, gotta do it again. Cut and paste, motherfucker. You know, and then it's like all, bless you.
You're welcome for
all
that.
this new stuff like comes up of like, oh, wait, this was not great either. You know, and so I think that's the hard part too. And at some point, you kind of have to land on which one can you tolerate more than the other to be the better parent. Yeah. It's rough. It's hard. Yeah. And your inner child will typically pick whichever one. And typically for women, they'll pick their moms.
Nope.
I know. Well, you're never typical fucking referee.
Oh, yeah.
Shocker.
No. What's funny though is I know my dad was a fucking garbage can, like bad. Like he was definitely worse than my
Was he
mom.
a trash panda? Not a garbage can.
No,
Maybe
a garbage can.
Oh.
No, definitely a garbage can.
Really like a trash panda.
Okay, if you didn't know my dad, like
Chocolate-covered
after
peanut.
he got if you didn't know after he got sober,
Yeah.
you would be like, okay, on paper, this guy like took his wife and his only daughter and like basically fucked over a very like violent motorcycle gang in Arizona and then had to like fucking
like that.
no, they called
They'll
it,
take your babies.
yeah, my parents had to send me away
Yeah.
because they were gonna come get me.
Yeah.
And they were like, they sent me away. And my mom later told me that they were like, they sent me because they thought they were gonna kill them. But anyway, you know, who's like,
Hashtag
Too bad,
winning.
yeah, too bad Hallmark doesn't make a card for this one on Father's Day. Get your shit together, Hallmark. You're missing the whole biker gang stealing drug addict situation
you missed that
card
whole
section.
Disneyland
entire-
dad stuff.
Yeah.
We really,
You
we could
really
just kind
missed
of do
it.
this.
Yeah,
Like,
Disney's really fucking missing the mark here.
Yeah.
well, that's what I mean is like, and then like, we literally lived in a chicken coop when I was like 7. He moved us into, they had like remodeled or renovated this like barn and chicken coop into like housing,
Oh, wow. Is
but it was like a literal chicken coop that we lived in.
that why you call your girls chickens?
Oh, that's interesting. No.
Everyone's like, that's
Ow.
I'm actually not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole.
No, we're not
She
doing
goes,
that.
oh, that's
I'm
interesting.
like, oh, interesting. It's
I
fucked
was
up.
like, I was like, is our friendship over? Do I need an octopi? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
all,
like,
like, hey,
this is very octopi.
remember we're friends.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, huh? Funny. Please don't go anywhere.
Please still love me.
Yeah, that's so funny. But like he literally was like, I moved my wife and my daughter into a chicken coop. Like we moved into like another place, another house that had like no electricity, and like that's how he was paying the rent, was like putting it back together. And like there were like dead kittens in the house like when we moved in. Like he was not a great dad. But that man fucking shits glitter.
What is it about him that makes, like, in your mind, he's less the villain in the story versus your mom?
I don't even know. I don't think my mom ever used. I don't think my mom was the villain until after my dad died, and then she just kind of shit the bed. Like I don't really think, because I never really grew up hating my parents. Like even
Yeah.
though
You had a lot
I
of
probably
reasons,
should have. Like I don't think that I should have been like besties with my parents. But
Again,
even-
genetically.
yeah, genetically. Yeah, I mean, I definitely like used to butt heads with my mom more, but that's like a teenage girl thing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
really, any teenage girl does
Oh,
that. But I was always a daddy's girl, which again, most girls are daddy's girls, and you butt heads with your mom. You know, traditionally, and
Most
there's
girls except 2 out of the 3 in here.
Well, that's what I mean, but like if you have.
Statistically. But not
Yeah, I'm the fucked up
this
one.
statistics,
Yeah, most of them, but not this one.
not good at math. But this ain't
No, you
nothing.
really aren't math. You are not
I'm
math
terrible
good
at math.
No, you are excellent compared to this.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
But I don't know. I don't really think my mom like was the villain until after, like even after he died. Probably when she got cancer is when I started. Like there were some traits and things that kind of like came out that I just was like, oh, that's not my favorite. And maybe it's because I'm slowly healing and not as codependent as I was. And I never really, like, with my dad felt like taken advantage of. And like when my dad was around, I think he kind of just like took care of my mom. And then I do find that I'm like, I take care of my mom a lot. And I find that very frustrating. And I never really had to do that with him, even when he was dying. I mean, he was dying. So it couldn't be like, I just felt like I couldn't be like angry that you're like dying. But like my mom's not dying. And I still have to take care of her. It's just frustrating.
And she doesn't like take care of herself in a way to not die.
Right.
Which is also very frustrating.
Right. There's a lot of villainizing, if you will, or a lot of frustrating things that have come out in the last probably 5 years that like just were never there before. Because I never really. I mean,
Your
my
dad
mom
probably hit a lot of it too.
Well, and my mom was functioning. I mean, she had a job. We were like best friends. We had like ice cream dates. Every Monday was like doodle date day. Like I used to call my mom Doodle. And like neither one of us worked on Mondays. So we'd go like have lunch. And then I'd like, she used to take care of me. She would like make dinner for me. It was like a whole thing. She was like my best friend, even while my dad was alive for like years. I mean, forever. And then after he died, it was just like very, very changey. So I don't know.
Do you think that part of that is because like a piece of her died with him?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely a piece of her died with him, but
like her ability to love the same?
I don't think so because she still loves me loudly, but there's just a lot of that like entitled addict tendency that comes out.
Gotcha.
And I think as not like healed, not 100%, but like as a healing human, I see that more. I see more of that trait. And I think that irks my inner child.
Yeah. It's frustrating.
My baby inner child that's like, you fucking weren't there when I was little. Could you be there now?
Right.
And you're not.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because there's definitely this piece of like, I've always been waiting for you to take care of me. And I'm still fucking waiting. And that doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Arian's turn.
I don't want to.
She's all, I hate it here. I
like very sweaty.
Fucking don't. Actually, wait, we're going to take a time out. I'm going to record 2 videos so it's not so hard to send. And then that way we know part 1 and part 2. So, Jeff, this is the end of part 1.
Oh, we're not even a